The room was dark, except for a sliver of moonlight filtering through the curtains, casting shadows that danced along the walls. Sarah lay on her bed, the weight of her thoughts pressing down on her like a heavy blanket. It was one of those nights, when the world outside seemed distant, muted by the chaos of her swirling emotions. She imagined Jake slipping into her room, uninvited but familiar, his presence warm and inviting. It sent a rush of adrenaline through her veins, a thrilling mixture of fear and exhilaration. Would he understand what she felt, a connection that went beyond mere friendship? Was it a secret they were both keeping, or merely an unspoken tension that lingered in the air? Curling into a ball, she wrapped her arms around her knees, her heart pounding at the possibilities. The truth was clear to her. She had fallen for her stepbrother. It was a slow burn, a simmering awareness that had been building ever since they'd moved in together a few years ago. But now, lying here, the weight of it all crashed over her like a tidal wave. The clock ticked, its rhythmic sound merging with her anxious thoughts. What if everything she imagined was just that imagination? What if Jake didn't feel the same? Would she ruin the only real bond she had, risking everything for a fleeting romantic notion? The door creaked open, and Sarah's heart raced. It was him. Jake stepped into the room, silhouetted against the hazy light from the hallway. "Hey, is it okay if I come in?" His voice was soft, laced with an innocence that made her heart flutter. "Yeah, of course," she mumbled, trying to sound casual, even as her mind raced. He took a seat at the edge of the bed, close enough that she could smell his familiar scent, a mix of citrus and something uniquely him. It was disarming. "So, what are you up to?" he asked, the corners of his mouth lifting, in an easy smile. His eyes sparkled with mischief, and Sarah couldn't help but return his smile, despite the storm that was brewing inside her. "Just thinking," she replied, hesitating before adding, "about us." The words slipped out before she could rein them in, and a breathless silence fell between them. Would he catch the weight behind her words? Jake raised an eyebrow, his curiosity piqued. "Us? What do you mean?" She took a deep breath, feeling both terrified and exhilarated. I mean, we've been living together for a while now. It's just different, you know?" She cast her gaze down, observing her fingers fidgeting with the hem of her blanket, resisting the urge to meet his eyes. "Different how?" he pressed, leaning in slightly. There was a sincerity in his voice that made her pulse quicken. For a moment, her heart raced with the thrill of uncertainty. "I feel like there's something more between us than just being step-siblings. I can't shake this feeling," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. He looked at her intently, and for an agonizing second, Sarah thought she saw a flicker of understanding in his eyes. "I think it's normal to wonder about these things, Sarah. We're close. Most step-siblings aren't. But it's not just that," she continued, feeling emboldened. "I think about you. A lot. More than I probably should." "What do you mean?" he asked softly. And this time, she couldn't hold back the hopeful longing that surged within her. "I mean, I like you, Jake. More than just a brotherly way. It's confusing." Her heart raced, the words spilling out in a rush. His expression shifted, and for a brief moment, Sarah feared she had crossed a line. But rather than pulling away, he remained, the gap between them closing just a little. "Confusing is definitely the right word," he said, a grin tugging at his lips as if trying to ease the tension. "But it's nice to know I'm not the only one feeling this way." Her breath hitched in her throat. "You feel that way too?" The mischief in his eyes returned, a playful glint that made her heart stutter. "Well, I wouldn't be sharing a room with you every day if I didn't enjoy it, would I? And you think our connection is something special?" She dared to ask, the vulnerability turning her cheeks warm. "Definitely," he said, his tone earnest now. "But I'm not sure what that means for us. We have to be careful." The excitement and fear danced in her chest. She felt as if they were teetering on the edge of a cliff, about to plunge into unknown waters. "Careful how? Maybe we should just keep things as they are for now. Enjoy our friendship?" he suggested, his voice gentle yet firm. You never know how things might change. She nodded slowly, a mix of disappointment and relief flooding over her. It was the safest option, but it felt like a bittersweet Pactan unspoken agreement to tread lightly. As they talked late into the night, their laughter echoed into the quiet house, the bond between them growing stronger even as unspoken words lay just beyond reach. Yet as Sarah lay in bed that night, she realized that her feelings were far from extinguished. They'd merely been tucked away, simmering beneath the surface, waiting for a soft whisper or a glance that could reignite the spark. Tomorrow would be another day filled with laughter and secrets. But tonight, standing at the precipice of those, emotions left her longing for more, every moment a promise of what could be. And within that secret, a thrill pulsed through her raw, unexplainable, and achingly beautiful. The confession. The morning light streamed through the curtains, painting the room with soft hues of gold. Sarah woke up feeling strangely exhilarated, yet anxious after the conversation with Jake. Her heart raced with a mix of hope and uncertainty. What did it mean for them, this newfound awareness of each other's feelings? The thought of it made her stomach flutter. As she got ready for the day, she caught a glimpse of herself in the mirror, a reflection filled with excitement. There was a spark in her eyes, igniting memories of their late-night talk. The fear of crossing, boundaries still lingered, but the thrill of possibility edged out the worry. Her thoughts darted back to Jake. She could almost feel the warmth of his presence beside her. When she entered the kitchen, Jake was already there, leaning against the counter with a mug of coffee in hand. He looked up, catching her gaze, and the world around them seemed to fade. For a moment, it felt like they were the only two people in existence, two souls adrift in a sea of unspoken truths. "Morning?" he said, a playful grin on his face. "Morning," she replied, attempting to mirror his lightness, though her heart was still in turmoil. Jake leaned closer, the weight of his body against the counter suggesting a level of intimacy that made her pulse quicken. "You sleep okay?" "Yeah, just thinking," she replied cautiously. Would he remember what they had talked about? Her heart raced at the prospect, the thrill of uncertainty saturating the air. Their playful banter continued as breakfast unfolded, each shared glance charged with unexpressed emotions. It was as if they were engaged in a delicate dance, sidestepping into awkwardness one moment, then seamlessly sliding back into laughter the next. After breakfast, they decided to go for a hike. The crisp autumn air whipped around them as they set out into the woods, the vibrant fall leaves crunching beneath their feet. Sarah felt a sense of freedom in the outdoors, and the beauty of the moment only intensified the tension between them. "Are you sure you can keep up?" Jake teased, feigning confidence as he darted ahead. "Please, I ran track last year," she shot back, her competitive spirit ignited. "You can't outpace me that easily." The trail wound through towering trees and rushing streams, the serenity around them contrasting sharply with the whirlwind of thoughts in Sarah's mind. As they reached a clearing, the view of the valley below was breathtaking. The horizon stretched endlessly, colors melding into each other like a beautiful painting. "Wow," she breathed, taking in the scenery. But her eyes were more drawn to Jake, who stood beside her, lost in thought. "I love it out here," he said quietly, breaking the silence. "It makes me forget about everything else." "Everything else?" she asked, tilting her head to gauge his mood. "Like school?" "Yeah, but also other things," he admitted, his voice trailing off. It wasn't the answer she'd expected, and it sent a ripple of curiosity through her. "Like what?" she probed, wanting to dive deeper, to peel back the layers of him that she had yet to discover. Jake sighed, looking out over the valley again. "I guess life, family stuff. It's complicated sometimes." His words hung in the air, filling the space between them with unspoken thoughts. Sarah felt the weight of his emotions and yearned to break down those walls, to reassure him that he wasn't alone, but she hesitated, unsure of how to navigate this delicate territory. "I get it," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Things can be complicated, but I'm here for you, right?" He turned to her, his expression earnest, his brow furrowing slightly as he searched her eyes. For a fleeting moment, Sarah thought he might confide in her, share a piece of himself she had yet to see. "Thanks, Sarah," he said, his voice softening. "That means a lot." The moment held a kind of gravity that made her heart race. She could feel the connection between them crackling like static electricity, a force pulling them closer just as surely as the distance between them often felt like an insurmountable barrier. As they resumed their hike, the playful banter returned. But Sarah felt a new layer added to their relationship, a deeper understanding, a shared burden. It was exhilarating and terrifying all at once, heightening every glance, every laugh. When they returned home, the sky was painted with streaks of orange and pink, dusk settling in around them. They both plopped down on the couch, breathing heavily. "From the day's adventure. Want to watch a movie?" Jake asked, scrolling through their collection. "Sure, but only if it's something good," Sarah teased, trying to keep the energy light, though her heart was still racing from the hike and from him. Jake chose a classic adventure movie, one they both loved. As the film unfolded, they occasionally bumped shoulders, laughter punctuating the moments of tension between characters. Each little jolt sent thrills through her, igniting questions about their feelings. Midway through the movie, Jake paused, the silence stretching as he glanced at her. "Can I ask you something?" Her heart raced. "Sure. What is it?" "Do you ever think about what it would be like if we didn't have this step-sibling thing hanging over us? If we were just us?" The room felt suddenly charged. Her breath caught in her throat. This was a pivotal moment, the question she had been both dreading and longing for. "I do." He looked surprised, but his expression quickly turned serious. "Really? What do you think it would be like?" "I think it would be intense," she confessed, her voice trembling slightly. "But I also think it would be amazing." Jake's gaze held hers, the air between them thick with emotion. "You're not worried it would ruin everything?" "I guess I am, but I also think it could be something incredible." An uncomfortable silence fell as they processed each other's words. The film faded into the background, their focus solely on each other. "Maybe we could explore it just a little," he suggested, hope flickering in his eyes. Sarah swallowed hard, her heart racing. "Are you sure? We have a good thing as it is." "I know, but I can't help wondering. I feel something more too," he admitted, his voice steady. Feeling the weight of his confession wash over her, Sarah nodded slowly. "Okay, but we have to promise to be careful. I don't want to lose what we have." "Agreed," Jake said, relief flooding his features. "No matter what happens, we'll always be friends first." They spent the rest of the night talking, their conversation flowing more freely, dreams and fears spilling out like secrets shared in the dark. Each revelation brought them closer, unraveling the threads of tension that had woven themselves into their relationship. But as Sarah lay in bed later that night, staring at the ceiling, she felt a gnawing uncertainty. They had opened a door, and she wondered what lay beyond it. Would they be able to navigate the uncharted territory they had stepped into? And what if, in the process of exploring this connection, they lost the very thing that made them special? With every heartbeat, Sarah felt both exhilarated and terrified, the journey ahead full of possibilities, each one more thrilling than the last. In that moment, it seemed as if the world was theirs to explore, the very air around them charged with electricity and hope. But uncertainty lingered just beneath the surface, a reminder that the path they were on was fraught with potential pitfalls. As she drifted off to sleep, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that her life was about to change, in ways she could only begin to imagine, and she was both ready and scared to embrace whatever came next, the challenge. The next few days passed in a blur of excitement and tension. Sarah felt a growing need to explore the delicate balance of emotions swirling between her and Jake. Each casual encounter held new possibilities, and she was hyper-aware of their every interaction. At school, they slipped into their usual routine, studying together, sharing lunches, and exchanging inside jokes. But beneath the surface, there was an underlying current of anticipation that both energized and unnerved her. The flirtation was unmistakable, Each shared glance a silent acknowledgement of their unique bond. One afternoon, as they lounged in their living room after school, Jake threw out a challenge. "How about a little competition? Something to shake things up." "Like what? You mean a friendly bet?" Sarah quipped, her curiosity piqued. "Exactly. Let's see who can win the most rounds in video games. Loser has to make dinner for a week?" His eyes sparkled with mischief, and Sarah felt a thrill shoot through her. "You're on! But you should know I'm pretty good at this," she replied confidently, suppressing a grin. The stakes were set and the games began. They dove into the competition with enthusiasm, trash-talking and laughter echoing off the walls. With every round, the tension grew, all the flirting, the near touches, the almost confessions mounting into something electric. As they battled it out, Sarah noticed how Jake's focus shifted. Their playful rivalry morphed into an intensity that held a mixture of challenge and chemistry. Each win felt monumental, and each loss stirred a competitive fire within her. After a particularly heated round, where Sarah claimed victory with a sudden surge of skill, Jake threw his hands up in mock defeat. Okay, you're officially the champion," he declared, collapsing back against the couch. "Don't worry, I'll take pity on you," she teased, enjoying the moment far too much. Jake's gaze was intense, his playful demeanor vanishing. "You know, there's more at stake than just dinner. It feels like there's a lot riding on this on us." His words struck a chord, setting her heart racing. She held her breath, unsure of how to interpret the sudden seriousness of the moment. "Yeah, I know what you mean. It's complicated." He shifted closer, a newfound determination lighting up his features. "What if we use this challenge as a way to figure things out, to explore, whatever this is between us?" Sarah's heart skipped a beat. "Are you serious?" "Absolutely. If I win, we can talk more openly about what's happening between us. And if you win," he paused, his voice lowering, "we can still talk about it. But I'll have to admit you're better than meat games and whatever else." A thrill surged through her. "And if I lose?" "Then you'll owe me a week of cooking," he joked, but his expression held something deeper, a promise of exploration and discovery. "Fine. But I won't take it easy on you," she shot back, her competitive spirit ignited once more. The rounds progressed, their connection only intensified. Each win and loss carried an undercurrent of unspoken emotions. Every time she bested him, a rush of adrenaline accompanied it, blending excitement with their uncharted feelings. Even the losses held weight. When Jake defeated her, each loss felt like a chance to unlock a piece of his soul. With the sun beginning to set, casting a warm glow around the room, they agreed on one final round winner takes all. The stakes had never felt higher. As the match began, the air was thick with tension and anticipation. Game faces on, they battled fiercely, fingers flying across controllers. Sarah felt every heartbeat drum in her ears, the pressure mounting. With every move, every victory, the confidence in her soared. She could feel Jake's energy beside her, an almost palpable force urging her on, and with each round, their gazes would occasionally lock, stoking the fire of something deeper. But then disaster struck, a sudden technical glitch threw the game into chaos. "What the?" Jake shouted, frustration evident. "Don't blame me for your bad luck." Sarah laughed, though her heart raced with the chaos of the moment. "Let's restart," he suggested, determination flooding back into his voice. "No glitches this time. Winner takes all." They relayed the necessary commands again, the thrill of the competition electrifying the air around them. After a few intense moments, they reached the final stretch own life left, both of them pushing to the limit. "Come on, Sarah, you can do this!" Jake shouted, emptying himself into the moment. Her heart thundered in her chest. "Don't count me out just yet." With an expertly timed move, she executed her strategy, the game drawing to a nail-biting conclusion. In the final seconds, Sarah made her move, taking the win. A rush of victory crashed over her, and she leaped from the couch. "I did it! I won!" Jake's expression shifted from shock to grudging admiration. All right, you win, but just know I'm coming for you next time." The excitement faded slowly as they caught their breaths, an electric charge coursing through the air. As reality set in, the implications of her victory loomed. How? To navigate the conversation that awaited them. Okay, so, about our deal, Jake started, the levity of their earlier banter replaced with a seriousness that made her heart flutter. Right, she replied, swallowing hard. What do we talk about first? Jake glanced at her, his eyes reflecting a mix of excitement and trepidation. Let's talk about what this means. About us. What exactly do you mean by that? She asked, trying to maintain her composure amidst the storm of feelings rising within her. He shifted closer, his face serious yet warm. I think there's something really special between us, and I don't want to ignore it anymore. Her heart raced, uncertainty blending with excitement. I agree, Jake. I've often thought about what could happen if we let ourselves explore this connection, but it could complicate things, he finished, nodding in understanding. I get it. We could lose what we have. With a sigh, Sarah looked down, fidgeting with the hem of her shirt. Yes, exactly. But it's hard to pretend that this feeling isn't there. What if we took it slow? He suggested, his voice gentle. Just baby steps and see how we feel? The prospect sent a thrill through her. I think that could work. But how would we even start? He met her, gaze, his expression earnest. We can start with openness. We share more, be honest about how we're feeling. And we see where it leads us. Sarah nodded slowly, her heart racing at the prospect of deeper honesty. Okay, I can do that. But we have to promise to communicate, no matter what. If things get uncomfortable, we need to talk about it. Deal, Jake said, a smile breaking through the tension. And if it ever gets too complicated, we'll backtrack, no hard feelings. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, the weight of their conversation settling over them like a warm blanket. Sarah felt both exhilarated and terrified. It was a new beginning, and yet it was shrouded in uncertainty. Time seemed suspended, as they exchanged knowing glances, both feeling the thrill of what lay ahead. Would they be able to maintain their friendship through the complexities of their feelings? Could they circumvent the challenges of navigating an emotional relationship? As they delved deeper into their thoughts and fears, the bond between them only strengthened, and Sarah knew one thing for certain. Whatever the future held, they would face it together. They were teetering on the edge of something beautiful, something potentially life-changing, and the journey had just begun. With newfound resolve, they carried the weight of their agreement into the night, ready to explore the delicate intricacies of their feelings while holding on to the foundation of friendship. The challenge had only brought them closer and opened the door to a world ripe with possibilities, one they were both ready to face, together. The reality check days turned into weeks, and the air in the house was thick with an exciting tension that both exhilarated and unnerved Sarah. The unspoken agreement hung between her and Jake like a delicate thread, taut yet fragile. They had become more open with each other, delving into their thoughts and feelings in ways that felt both refreshing and daunting. However, as the novelty of the newfound emotional connection began to settle, a nagging anxiety crept in. What if it was all just a fantasy? What if their brave steps into this newfound territory led to upheaval rather than harmony? The morning of their weekly hike arrived, and Sarah felt a sense of dread mingle with anticipation. She had been restless, nights thinking about their discussions, where they might lead and how to navigate the emotional labyrinth they had stepped into. Ready for another thrilling hike? Jake called as he appeared in the doorway, a backpack slung carelessly over one shoulder and a grin on his face. The sight of him instantly warmed her heart, yet an unsettling thought nagged at the back of her mind. Absolutely, she replied, forcing a smile despite the turmoil within. Let's see if you can keep up with me this time. They set off on their familiar trail, weaving through the trees that were beginning to shed their leaves. Autumn was in full swing, and there was a chill in the air that invigorated Sarah. But her mind was racing, a storm cloud of uncertainty looming overhead. As they reached the clearing that overlooked the stunning valley, Sarah paused, taking in the breathtaking view. It's so beautiful up here, she said, trying to mask her inner turmoil with appreciation for the scenery. Yes, it really is, Jake replied, his voice resonating with warmth. He stepped closer, his presence a comforting weight beside her. You know, it's moments like this that make me grateful we're able to do this together. I feel like we're really connecting. His words sent a thrill down her spine, but it also deepened her internal conflict. Yeah, but there's so much more at stake now, she said quietly, turning to face him. What if we ruin everything? What if one of us— Sarah, he interrupted gently, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. We've talked about this. We'll navigate it together. The worst that could happen is we communicate our way through it. Taking a deep breath, she nodded, but the feeling of impending change loomed over her like a dark cloud. They hiked back down, yet Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to shift, not just between them, but in their lives as a whole. As the sun began to set that evening, casting a golden light over their cozy living room, Sarah felt naively optimistic. Let's watch a movie, something light to keep the mood up, she suggested, eager to distract herself from her worries. Great idea, Jake agreed, pulling up their usual streaming service. However, as they settled in with cups of hot cocoa, an unexpected shift in the atmosphere began to bring her unease to a head. Midway through the movie, Jake's phone buzzed on the coffee table, something that rarely interrupted their time together. He reached over, glancing at the screen, and the color drained from his face. What's wrong? Sarah asked, her heart skipping a beat at his sudden change in demeanor. It's my mom, he replied, his voice strained. She wants to talk. I think it's serious. Panic coursed through her veins. What do you mean? Is everything okay? She's worried about something, and she wants to see me. I've been avoiding her calls because, well, you know, how things have been between us. The tension in the room became palpable. Sarah's heart sank. This was the first serious note from the outside world that could disrupt their fragile balance. Do you think it's about us? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't know, but I can't ignore it, he replied, rising from the couch. I should go. Panic building in her chest, Sarah stood up abruptly. You can't just leave. What if this puts everything we've worked for at risk? Jake turned to face her, anguish etched across his features. I have to go. I can't. Leave her hanging, especially if it's serious. But I'll be back as soon as I can. I promise. With that, he was gone, leaving Sarah standing alone in the dimming light of the living room. A knot formed in her stomach as uncertainty coiled around her thoughts. Would this change everything? As the hours ticked by, worry gnawed at her. What was he discussing with his mom? Would she understand their connection? Was Jake even prepared for that conversation? Eventually, the wait became unbearable. With a sense of urgency, Sarah grabbed her phone and texted Jake. Call me when you can. I'm worried. The response came quickly, but not reassuringly. I'll be home late. Don't wait up. His tone was terse, and she could sense the turmoil in his words. The quiet of the house enveloped her like a heavy shroud, and she felt a whirlwind of concern enveloping her thoughts. As night fell, she settled onto the couch, each tick of the clock echoing loudly in the silence. The movie they had started felt like a distant memory, the comfort of their banter having faded into an unsettling void. Her mind raced, replaying every moment they had spent together, the smiles, the laughs, the trials they had begun to share. But now, everything felt thrown into question. What did Jake's mom want? Was there a possibility he would retreat back to a safer emotional distance, one where they were just step-siblings again? Finally, sleep overcame her, and she drifted into a restless slumber punctuated by dreams of uncertainty and fear. Hours later, she awoke to the sound of the front door opening. Instantly alert, she got up, heart pounding in anticipation. Jake stepped into the house, looking exhausted, yet somehow resolved. Hey, he said softly, his voice waning under the weight of an unspoken burden. I didn't mean to worry you. Jake. What happened? She urged, rushing forward. Is everything okay? He ran a hand through his hair, clearly flustered. Yeah, everything is fine, but we need to talk. Tension reopened in her. chest as they sat down together on the couch, the air thick with anticipation. What did she say? Jake looked down, struggling to find the right words. She's been noticing some changes in Muse and was concerned. She wants me to be happy. But she has reservations about our relationship. Her heart sank. What do you mean? She thinks we're too close for step-siblings. It makes her uncomfortable, and she worries about what happens if we break up, how it would affect our family dynamic. She wants me to be cautious. A taste of frustration mixed with anxiety climbed to Sarah's throat. But we're not just step-siblings. We've built something real. I know, he exclaimed, his frustration echoing her own. I told her that. But I think she sees it differently. I don't know if she'll ever accept it. The words hung heavy in the air, settling like an anchor in her stomach. So what now? I don't know. I care about you, Sarah. But this complicates things so much, he replied, his voice cracking slightly. I need some time to process everything. I don't want to lose our bond, but it feels like the world is pushing us apart. Is that what you want? She asked, desperate for clarity. To step back? I don't know, he burst out, frustration evident in his tone. I can't think straight. I need time. Tears filled her eyes as she processed his words, feeling like the ground beneath her was crumbling. I don't want this to end. I don't want to go back to just being step-siblings. It's too late for that. Jake's eyes softened, a spark of understanding breaking through the turmoil. Neither do I. But it feels like there are forces at play we can't control. As silence wrapped around them, Sarah felt a flicker of determination ignite within her. Then let's fight for it. Let's be open with your mom and show her we're strong enough to handle this, that we know what we want. Jake hesitated, wrestling with the idea. What if she pushes back? What if it makes things worse for us? Then at least we'll know we fought for something real, Sarah asserted, her heart racing at the possibility. I don't want to give up without a fight. Jake stared at her, and for a fleeting moment she saw the fire of determination flicker in his eyes. Okay, he said finally. Let's talk to her together. I can't let fear dictate our relationship. Not anymore. As they locked eyes, Sarah felt a rush of hope flood through her. They had chosen to confront the challenge together instead of shying away. It would be a battle, but they were ready to face it as a united front. The night loomed before them, electric with possibility and uncertainty. They would talk, they would confront, and they would fight for the bond they had forged. With newfound resolve, Sarah smiled, willing to face the world along with Jake. Together, they were stronger than any challenge that lay ahead. This was only the beginning.